On this episode of Buff's Garage, we're taking this thing from rusty heap to 20-footer chic. Hang in there for the compilation video from start to finish of the 1974 International Travelall. Not again. Seriously? You know, I'm getting tired of people hacking my personal information every time I turn around. Which brings us to the sponsor of today's video, Aura. This is like the time there was a national public data breach that compromised like 2.9 billion records. Records that they used for background checks that included your name, address, social security numbers, dates of birth, phone numbers. And it seems like every time I turn around, there's another data breach. And that's the motivating factor for signing up for Aura. Aura monitors all of your personal data, including your social security number, through billions of different data points like the dark web and public court records, and then alerts you to any potential identity theft. Aura will help remove your personal information from data brokers and personal search sites that can sell your info to identity thieves, scammers, and more. And with 24/7 US-based support, they have around-the-clock US fraud specialists available to help you. And I get all this in one app for one affordable price. With Aura, I'm not leaving myself and family vulnerable to data breaches and brokers. And if you don't want to either, you can go to aura.com/buffsgarage to try 2 weeks for free. That will be enough time for Aura to find out if any of your personal data is exposed. That's aura.com/buffsgarage. I want to thank Aura for sponsoring this video, and with them keeping me safeguarded, I can rest assured and get back to work. This is a 1974 International Travelall that I found after sitting for 20 years in a field and picked up for about $1,000 and brought home to see if I could get it to run, drive, and stop. But then things escalated, as you will see in this full video from start to finish. Well, this don't look good. Hopefully it doesn't damage anything underneath. Might have a roof leak, maybe. Oh, that's what you want to find. But hey, it's got the tunes. It has all the makings of an engine. No idea if I'm going to be able to do anything with it, but not a bad looking truck. We just need to make it pretty. Oh, hey. Slick 50 protected. It should be fine. It should fire right up then, right? This is the International Travelall, so it's the full family SUV version. Back before SUVs were all mom cars. Last registered in Johnson County, Kansas, and it looks like tagged in 2005. 19, almost 20 years of setting, and it definitely looks like it. I'll try to take a look underneath, but I have a feeling it's probably got a little damage. Yeah, somebody put some foam in there, so that's perfect. All fixable. It's time. Money. Goal is, I guess, just run and drive and stop. I don't really want to go any further than that right now with it. That's one way to load it. So the make-believe rocker panel that was there is not now. It's completely rusted through. It's basically like paper. So I'm not too worried about it because there wasn't much there to begin with, but it did get rusted right there on the trailer. It just needs, oh, darn it. Well, I need my money back. It's falling apart. I guess the next thing I gotta do is put some tires or some sort on here so I can get it rolling around, because it doesn't want to move with flats. Well, I would say it looks just as good as it did when it was parked, except I've got a few issues here. Very, very reasonable to think that it's chewed through, because I'm gonna just guess that something was living in here. Oh yeah. This was a towing rig. This is the hydraulic brake line that you would use to hook up to your trailer. Well, there we go. Carburetor's not completely froze up. Good sign. No idea if the engine is. What kind of engine flavor do we have here? Let's just assume the sticker's correct. Because if the sticker's correct, this is the 392. The bigger boy of all of the engines available. It even had working AC, they claim. Cool. Wow. A lot of stuff eaten up here. Now these things had a selectable gas gauge slash vacuum actuated selector. So you could run it from the rear tank. It's supposed to then divert fuel from the rear to the front tank. I don't understand exactly how it works, but something along these lines. You'll be able to switch it on the dash to figure out how much fuel you have left. Again, I can see vacuum lines unhooked. I can see wiring's been chewed through. Let's make it run. All right, checking the important stuff. Antenna, check. Let's see how that looks. You know, doesn't smell like gas. Smells like old oil. It's still slippery. It's not broken down. It's a little low, but we're going to end up changing it anyway. So it looks like we need some spark plug wires. Are you writing this down? Well, this thing was home to not only rats, but lots of spiders. Just looking at the radiator, it's beautiful copper color all along the front of it. There's a good chance it's got a leak in it. Let's get this far. Okay. A little dirty. Still there. Put you over here. Come back. That's factory original. Can't use that. Flashlight. Well, the radiator's still holding fluid. Looks about like mud, but it's got fluid in it. All right, we've got oil, we've got coolant, a lot of vacuum lines unhooked. It's like the power steering lines leaked, and it looks like the battery cables have seen better days. Hey, both positive and negative are black, so that's good. Yep, not sure why rats like spark plug wires, but there must be some special nutrient in there that they like. Well, let's just go ahead and do the wrong thing. Let's grab a battery and see what happens. We actually got a good battery right now. And it will be good right up until we melt it down in a second. Oh my goodness! The headlights came on. There's not even a headlight switch in it. Headlight switch is gone. Temporarily turn the headlights off until we can figure out what we need to do to make it start. This thing looks like it's got headers. Is that how it came from the factory? I'm going to assume so. That's kind of cool. Them be headers. That's not just a simple exhaust manifold. Man, I can't wait to hear it run. Believe it or not, O'Reilly's didn't have these on the shelf. I had to order them. But it was order it from them and have them the next morning, or I guess lunchtime, or order them online and wait 2 or 3 days. So we went this route. I did not grab a coil. That was stupid of me. Let's assume it'll be fine. I did not grab a distributor cap either. Very smart of me. Well, latest update. I'm sure you're just as surprised as I am that I special ordered these spark plug wires from O'Reilly's, and they are wrong. We're going to reuse the old ones that weren't chewed up. So that's frustrating, but I'm not going to let that hold me back. I'm instead going to press on, and hopefully the old wires are good enough to hold together, where the ones that were chewed up, obviously we had to pull out, but we're going to try to use the rest. We're going to motor on. Well, we hope we're going to motor on. That's what you want to find inside your radiator, by the way. I have a very, very, very remote fuel cell set up, but I'm not going to put any fuel in the tank yet. I want to see if we can make it fire first. So doing my best to do it the right way, I'll put a little bit of fuel down. And we're going to put way too much fuel down here. Perfect. Are we ready? It tried. Woohoo! Victory! Way too much. We got our temporary fuel system hooked up. I've got my ignition starter here. Give it a little bit of, yeah, there we go, pump go. Not bad. I got a fuel leak, but I just shut off the fuel pump and that solved that problem. But victory! She runs, and runs pretty good. Like, I kind of want to take it on a trip right now. Single clamp trick didn't work. It's almost like I heard it somewhere else. You got to use 2 clamps. While I'm waiting on parts, I thought I'd explore this thing a little bit. Started to open things up. I'm really trying to avoid having to clean all this up. I know it's going to have to happen, and I'm going to have to do it, but I'm trying not to. Let's open this up. Extra bulbs and fuses. Kansas Department of Revenue. This says 74 International. Purchased in 93. Registration of 94. Purchase price says $210. Wonder how accurate that is. But it was purchased by the Bible Baptist Church in Bonner Springs. Okay, guess we got some reading to do. Which allows me to avoid this for a little while longer. No, you're not seeing slow-mo. It's just me not wanting to do this. All right, let's do this right.
Not a bad seat cover if it wasn't covered in rat crap.
There used to be a seat right there. It is not now. Just let's get to cleaning it out. That is a dirty job. We got to get this thing. Let me get some aerofoil and let it do its thing. Ladies and gentlemen, do not buy Travelall unless you just really want one. When I say don't try this at home, I mean don't buy a Travelall. Sight unseen, mind you. This thing is rusted up. I didn't talk about mileage. 14,811. Let's put at least a 1 in front of that. How about that? By the way, 120? Yes, please. Maybe not in this, but it'd be fun. I've spent way too long in here already, so out I go. I am covered in, I don't even want to think about what is all over me right now. So I'm going to call it. I got parts coming in the morning. I'm going to go take a shower. Then I'm going to get out and take another shower and maybe one more just for good measure and get some food, get some sleep. I got a full day tomorrow. See you tomorrow. So this first time I really sat in the seat, I got it covered in plastic just because I don't really want any of that nastiness on me. But I went to push this up and thought, what the heck is this? It's window screen. And it's on all the windows. So you could camp out in your Travelall with the windows down and not have the bugs just eating you alive. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I have no idea how the valve doohickey system works. I may be fighting a losing battle here. But I put fuel in the rear tank, not in the front. So here's part of the valve system. And that goes directly, the hard line in the middle goes to the engine. However, follow those lines and boom. There's nothing there. We got to find the line from the rear tank, figure out where it's at and plumb it into this setup. Maybe bypass it, but either way, we need to find that rear line. So I'm going to dig around and try to find that real quick. I haven't observed from where I connected right here back, but I can tell you that's broken. That's ripped open. This is fuel line inside of the wheel well. So I just bypassed that right here. I mean, it can't be any worse than this. Okay, I'm going to secure that line, that fuel line, make it not move about. And then I'm going to take it for a drive and see what happens. Worst case scenario, I'm walking back. Here goes nothing. Let's turn on the fuel pump. First drive in 20 years. Full of fuel and then brought it down to the local car wash just to get a little hose off. Trying to get some of the 20 years of moss and dirt off of this thing. It's not going to improve it much, but we're just going to kind of just do what we can with what we got. Now this vehicle sat for decades before it came into the shop. We got it running, but we need to do a few more things to make it officially roadworthy and make it so it can go camping. To make things easy on myself, I just threw an electric fuel pump on there. Never even tested the factory fuel pump. It may work just fine. So underneath here we've got our fuel pump and our wiring, everything running to where it needed to run. This was the old hose that used to feed from the secondary fuel tank. Or maybe that's a primary, I don't know. But we only have one fuel tank now, so that's gonna have an inlet hose back here. And so I can actually unhook this electric fuel pump, hook that hose into here, and then this metal goes up to the carb with a fuel filter in between. So we just need to hook all that back up with this new inlet hose. All of this stuff will become deleted and we can use it on another project. And this is why you go ahead and change those hoses out. It's hard, brittle, just falling apart. So we got new hose here. We're going to put a new hose on this end, which will be about that long, and we should have this wrapped up. Fire this beast up. I kind of wanted to make it look a little better. I'm not going to try to tell you that I'm going to do this right. And I'm not going to try to tell you that this is what you should do. And I'm not going to go out and scam anybody into buying this Travelall thinking it's in great shape. We're going to keep the price low. And we're going to do it with what you might have available in your home. Nobody's home. So many tractor colors. You know, I was looking at this gloss white because that's what basically, the original was Alpine white on the roof and on the bottom section. And it's $26.99. And then I saw this international white. I think this is what we're getting. Well guys, we couldn't find the international color. I'll pop it up on the screen. But they were nice enough to loan me their book here, their paint book. And we found a 2021 color called Zeus 3. And it's very similar. There's a Zeus. Very similar to that international color that we couldn't find. It's not in any book. We couldn't find it online. So we're gonna just mix up a single stage of this. This is real paint versus tractor paint, so it's a little less forgiving. So to do this right, what we should do is come in here and cut all this out where it's really bad and patch in new metal. That's the right way to do it. But I can't even afford the windshield. That thing is $500 and doesn't include installation. But for the most part, we're just gonna tape, scuff, fix this with short strand fiberglass and the screen you guys saw me take. And then we're gonna prime it and paint it. It's gonna look beautiful. So I just wrapped up a second coat and it is not spraying very well. Let me just show you the bottom there. So that primer's garbage. I wanted to try to use some more farm base or tractor base paint. I chose to go to Tractor Supply and they didn't have Vansickle, they had Magic with a J. That stuff's garbage. Now granted, it might have sat on the shelf for a while, but it did not want to remix when I was stirring it. I did finally get it mostly mixed, poured it into here, and it was fluid when I poured it in here. It didn't want to spray where the crap, it's got a lot of splatters and stuff, and I've adjusted the gun every which way I can. It just didn't want to spray through the gun. I've done the best that I can with what I've got. It's not great, and that's okay. But you know what? It's on, and that's what we wanted to get to today, and we got there. So we've accomplished that goal. Now I'm going to clean this up, and we'll come back and see how it dries, and maybe put some paint on it. That's not good. It's been here all day and it's still tacky. This was supposed to be dry to the touch within an hour, and it's been in here all day. So finally it's dry. It's rough, very gritty. That was the worst primer ever, but it's dry. Well, I guess after 3 days of sitting, trying to get this place hot enough to dry this garbage primer, I think we're ready to start painting. I went ahead and grabbed some gloss white paint because the cheap paint I got on sale, it worries me now. Two reasons. Number one, it's the same brand, that Magic with a J brand that the primer was. And number two, it's on sale for a reason. So I may just hold it back and use it for another project. And I grabbed some Van Sickle gloss white tractor paint in the spray can, and it's just gonna have to be good enough. It's not great, but it's white. But I don't have enough white to do the side, so I'm gonna have to go back to town again. So I think what I'll do is I'll let that set up. We'll go ahead and do the white. Well, I guess I shouldn't be surprised about anything at this point. I went ahead and sanded down the part where we're putting the white stripe. And what can I say other than it in fact was still not dry 5 days later. The top layer's dry, but the underneath isn't. And that's just not good. That just shows what garbage this stuff was right out of the can. I can blame myself on a few things. I may not have sprayed it correctly. I may have laid it on too thick. It may have been too cold. There's so many things I could have done. But at the end of the day, even garbage should have dried by now. And it didn't. So here we are. We're shooting white paint. It's just this, it is what it is. Oh man, look at those runs. Those are special. There's more. Apparently went a little too heavy. Here. All through here. All through here. Time to start mixing up the brown. It's like a metallic, burnished gold, brown, either way metallic, so it should be red pretty. got those beautiful mask creases on my face. That's all right. So all in all, I don't think this thing turned out too bad. Obviously, I need to touch up the white. That I overshot, because I couldn't wait on it to dry to tape it off. So I figured it'd be easier to shoot all this brown, get it done, and then tape it off and reshoot some of the white. I also noticed some of the places that I had to go back and resand. It was basically turning gummy, and that was before I shot it brown. This was just the primer. That's 5 days of drying, and it was still a little gummy at the very base of it. So either I laid it on way too thick, or this was just the worst primer ever. But what I'll say is the brown metallic, I think, is really pretty. But I learned a few things. Don't lay metallic on too thick, because if it starts to run, you're going to see it. Metallic does not hide the runs very well. And what I mean by that is you'll have a beautiful pattern of glitter just moving along, and all of a sudden, zoop, and there's your run. You know what though? From a distance, this thing looks pretty good. It's going to have a decent shine to it. I can actually cut and polish this to a point. Once I come back and tape it off and finish the white and put the trim on it, it's going to be beautiful. But I got to be real with you guys. I've simply run out of time. So let's go over what we learned. First and foremost, the easiest way to shoot paint, spray paint. But it gets everywhere. It takes a while, and if you don't know what you're doing, which I don't, it takes a little bit to master. You may end up with a lot of overspray. You definitely have a lot of little white speckles all over your stuff, but it works very well. But I can tell you, shooting it with a gun was better, faster. It coated thicker, and I think it's going to dry really nice. I may end up having, once this brown dries, coming back, taping off and reshooting it with the gun. Shoot it white with the spray gun. I think it'll look so much better. But I just was in a hurry and didn't want to deal with the spray paint. The other thing I learned is automotive paint shoots really good. But we're coming back to fix all the white after this holiday weekend. So there it is, guys. She is a beautiful, beautiful brown metallic two-tone white. I just think it's gorgeous. There's a lot of problems with the paint. There's a lot of problems with the primer. There's a lot of problems. There's a lot of problems that we could just deal with until the end of times. Literally, so much we could be doing. But this truck just needed to be shiny. This truck just needed to not have holes in the roof. This truck just needed to get back out there and enjoy life. We can always sand it down and paint it again later. Well, I've got to finish this thing up because I've got a buyer for the international Travelall, but it's obvious I don't have the paint finished. So we had some runs along here that I needed to fix, but ended up sanding all the way through the white. So we're going to go ahead and just reshoot this center section white, fix up here where it needs to be reshot, and just give it an extra coat of white. And then everywhere else that seems to have a problem, like we've got a pretty bad run here I need to fix. Otherwise, it's come together really well. I really wanted to put this all into one video. I really wanted you guys to see what it looked like finished. I'm going to finish this up, get all the trim back on it, and get it out the door so the new owner can enjoy it. So let me sand this down and reshoot it, and we'll be good to go. Well, things have escalated. As you can see, the primer underneath the paint on the hood never did cure. Now, we kind of knew this whenever I painted it before. It was still a little tacky. My ignorance of painting overruled logic, or just ignorance in general. And instead of doing the right thing, which is stripping off all that crappy primer before shooting paint, I just went ahead and shot over it. That didn't come back to bite me at all, did it? So today, as I was prepping a few spots on the body just to touch them up, reshoot them a little bit, I noticed that it was wrinkling on the hood. At first I was not going to worry about it and just let the next guy deal with it, but my conscience got the better of me and I went ahead and started sanding it. Well, it immediately gummed up the sandpaper. It didn't flake, it didn't chip, it gummed up. And I was like, well, that's an issue. I dug a little bit deeper and next thing you know, I'm peeling off the entirety of the primer and paint. Now the greenish primer that I put on there stuck really well, and everything above that, which was the tractor paint primer, which was the garbage stuff from Tractor Supply called Magic with a J. Don't ever get that stuff. Not only was it not great stuff, probably had been sitting on the shelf way too long. And my stupidity, I went ahead and used it instead of taking it back and getting something better. So here I am fixing my mistake. I'm going to go ahead and sand it all the way back down, get it all smoothed out, re-primer it, reshoot the hood, reshoot the other spots that need touched up. Then I'm going to do the white, get the trim on it, and get it out of here. It's going to be a long day. Alright, so obviously I did shoot some primer yesterday, let it cure overnight like I'm supposed to, and then I came in this morning and found some wavy spots, and I'm not so good at this sanding thing, or block sanding, or anything else. I'm honestly just not that worried about it. It's an international truck. It's supposed to have some waves and some dents and just not be perfect. So I went ahead and sanded it down again, dang it. Now it's all wiped down with cleaner degreaser. I've wiped it down with the tack cloth. So now I'm set to reshoot the primer like for the 15th time. Really, it's probably like the 3rd time. And now we should be able to shoot some paint on it tomorrow, hopefully. But here it is. Tomorrow you'll see paint on it. It's about 65 degrees in here, so not really where we need to be. I've done everything I can to heat the shop up, but it's like 19 degrees outside. Well, there you have it. It's not great. It's not even good, but it's painted. I'm done with it. Once this dries, I'm going to put all the trim back on it, touch up any spots that need touched up, and we're talking touching them up with a brush. We're not doing any more spraying. But all the lights need to go back in, all the trim needs to go back on, and then this thing is gone, out the door. But I still have one more thing I want to do with it before it goes. Well, now that the paint is mostly dry, it doesn't look great. It doesn't really even look good, but I'm going to start peeling off the masking. Then we're going to touch up the white in the few places that it needs touched up, fire this thing up, and get it out of here. It's so good to get this out of the shop. came together really well. Well, the Travelall is finally complete, and I'm ready to send it out on its maiden voyage and maybe even go on a camp trip, but this happened. So even with all the snow out there, I would love to back this thing out, go do some donuts out in the parking lot, you know, just dig around in the snow. But I've sold this. This is someone else's now. And because of that, I don't really want to tear it up, well, any worse than I already have. So it's going to sit here in the nice warm shop for a little bit longer until the road's clear. I just don't want to be a problem and be out on the road being unsafe and, you know, wrecking somebody else's vehicle. So that really puts dampers on my plans to take it camping. So I guess there's only one thing left to do. Good night. Thanks for watching Buff's Garage. Don't forget to hit up buffsgarage.com for all your merch. Oh man, this is comfortable.